Hey guys, Matt Cubby Samuelson here, joined by the top winners of both our teams. We've got Fake God representing the Skies, Surdy representing EG.
Hey.
Now guys, before you guys go toe-to-toe in the Rift, I figured, we get you at least in the same car, make sure, we can at least set some boundaries, get some respect going.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you guys both a question at the same time.
Okay.
Am I sitting with the two best top laners in the league, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? All right, quick yeses. Surdy, what do you respect about Fake God's play?
I respect his stability. I respect his ability to be adaptable for his team. I respect his team fighting a lot, and I respect his map movements in mid-game.
Nice. Fake God, Surdy, any thoughts?
I respect his lane dominance when he's playing Jax and his climb from the lower bracket. I think a lot of wins came from that.
Yeah, now, I mean, you guys did, of course, have a heck of a run, whether it is upper bracket for Disguise or lower bracket for EG. Any predictions for the series? Fake, I'm going to start with you. What do you got so far?
Well, the last time I answered a question, I said 3-1, so I'll just say 3-1 for my favor.
Okay.
We'll say
I was
going to
say 3-1 for my favorite.
Oh,
too.
okay.
Oh, we got two gentlemen sweeps here then. Guys, I know a return to the studio for you, Fake God. Surdy,
Yeah.
this is going to be your first time on the LCS stage, right? And any advice, Fake God, you have for Surdy sitting up there?
Just try to know if you're a person who plays with the audience or you just prefer to ignore it. For me, I just ignored my first times.
I think I'm going to try and ignore it too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining me before the match. Really looking forward to the finals between you guys. I think you guys
Yeah,
each
fun.
played really well in
Yeah.
the split, and excited to see who comes out on top, standing with a trophy, of course, on Wednesday. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me once again, and a special shout out to Turo, the sponsor of this segment, making it happen, getting us this Model X to talk to both of you in the car. And guys, Turo, it is your one-stop shop for all things that you could possibly imagine when it comes to renting cars. They have the world's largest car marketplace for any of your rental needs. So go over to Turo.com. Thank you so much again to them for supporting LCS Challengers League. And guys, see you guys on the stage. Shout out to Turo for helping us bring LCS Challengers League to you. Really all split. Been incredible having a couple partners with us, and that was fun. I got to be like, George Costanza hand model there at the end with a water bottle. Some new experience.
Yeah, but you know
You're saying you have a new career path?
I need my oven mitts afterwards.
All right, but can we talk about the actual interview itself? I think it was really cool seeing both these top laners. I mean, they both think they're the best in the league, and they're definitely top two. It's really cool to see them have that respect for each other, but also that belief in their own game plan. I mean, we've seen good looks from both of them this time around, but we got to lean a little bit towards Fake God. I think he's been having a great series.
Now, how are we feeling about the sides being the exact same as they were before? It's going to be EGC on the blue side, DSG over on the red. Are we expecting a shakeup to come out of EGC? I definitely want to see something different because allowing the scaling to come out from DSG that happened in game number 2 was an absolute disaster.
The one thing I want to call back to immediately is that during the Subway halftime refresh, we saw Manui actually talk about how he thought the comp from EG was good. He just thought it was a bit of a mixed execution. He wants to see them run that one back, but with the Sejuani takeaway, it looks like they're trying something different. We're seeing some of Tomio's favorite champs from the year banned yet again, and this time it's going to be that first pick Xayah for King.
Now, Rakan is on the board, so I expect this to be denied now from Disguised. And they have an option to take Renekton if they really want to slam a top laner. Now, we will see Surdy. He's happy to play the Jackson and Renekton if he must, but interested to see what ends up coming in with the Rakan.
A lot of options here.
Someone's here for the Rizzler.
Someone's here for you, B. Someone's here for you.
Oh, man.
A Rizzler loves his fans. What can I say? Also, shout out to the Blue Lock posters.
Oh.
You guys know what you're about. As, I mean, the Rakan is the easy one there, Cubby, but I want to see what else is coming through here. I mean, even though it's not a flex in this situation, I think the Rel has been so strong as a pick overall, so now Tomio is going to make another unique champion.
That is honestly quite the switch up here from Disguise. Still a lot of focus on the team fight as... hold on.
We got to see all the signs.
He only plays TFT?
Hold him up.
What?
What? You play TFT?
You missed the guy who only has parking for another hour.
That's got to be a DSG fan.
Look at this. Armeo going back to the Nocturne wheelhouse also has the Alistair alongside it for Smoothie.
I will say, it's funny because Smoothie and Zeyzal, two supports that have history with C9, and I remember when it was both of their stints in Cloud9, I thought that they were each fantastic Alistar players. So it's a harder matchup into Rakan, and now Meech actually has an opportunity to counterpick. His pool is very deep, so they will let Meech drop in prio, but for EG, I think you have to deny Nico right here from this guys because they've proven that the Nico Nocturne, they're very good at
absolutely.
piloting that composition. Alistar on top makes it rather difficult, so that's immediately banned. And no Aphelios this time for Meech. I think he earned that one, yeah.
I mean, I think we could have guessed that one given the game that he had there in game 2. And at this point, Meech, I wonder if he gets double banned again. The Ezreal is something to think about. You're not dealing into, you're not running into like any big beefy tanks, at least topside from Surdy. So, and you do have that little bit of safety with the arcade shift. I mean, it was taken away from him, I believe, in game 2. So I want to see if EGC take that one away too. If they, if they don't, I would really like to see them pick that from Meech. Okay, it's a good call.
Yeah.
Good call. I like that. Honestly, I think that Meech, I mean, this is when he goes Jinx. And piloting Jinx in the Nocturne Alistar is really hard.
Yeah, we've seen what happened. It was, what was it, DSG versus AoE.
Yeah. That one's pretty tough. So if anything, actually, they did ban the Jax, so this time it will have to be a different answer for Surdy going into this Renekton. I expect Kennen or Cassante to come out from Surdy here, but very curious. They are dropping Meech all the way to 5-pick here at Marksman.
Yeah, I think it's partially because you want to be able to get the Renekton immediately, not leave that opportunity for Surdy to grab it. But I really like the Kennen shout out. I mean, overall, really strong champion at the moment, and it kind of fits with what EGC are wanting to do, especially when you have the Nocturne. Kennen is absolutely a side lane you can play to when you have that paranoia up. So you got to imagine that's what they're looking to 5-pick here.
And this is a lot of great pick coming out from EGC so far. I mean, now you have the Syndra on top of it. You already had the Dive Buddy system coming in with the Nocturne and Alistar, but if you establish vision control, Scatter the Weak comes out, stuns up anyone. That could be disaster right there, especially considering that Meech won't be able to have that Ezreal. Now we're going to see what that Marksman is. It's going to deal with that, and it's going to be a Zeri.
I mean, Zeri does give you options to play defense against the Syndra Nocturne Alistar in a sense, but Fortis guys, I'm a little bit worried for them in this game because I think that it's really tough to play their front line into Syndra. I think Syndra can really use the scatter to somewhat reset fights, play things a little bit slower, and these guys have to be very careful about when they go in because the turn from a Syndra, Xayah, Alistar, if you do not have clean engages, it's really easy for EG to then turn a fight on DSG and have it be in their favor.
Yeah, the big thing for DSG is to find these multiple angles. Like, I'm looking for Fakeot, Tomio, Zeyzal to come in from multiple areas just to make sure that Scatter of the Week gets as limited value as possible. And that also just puts more pressure onto Smoothie, on the Alistar, good at absorbing this all-in pressure that DSG have to get that turn that you're talking about.
And right now, always got to remember, it's do or die at this point. DSG have reached match point. If they take one more win right here, EGC are out. EGC are done, and they will be happy with a second place finish, while Disguised will be our champions. Again, 2 chains. 2 chains is what's on the line for Tomio, Fakeot, and Zeyzal. Getting that first one, gonna feel so good for Young and Meech. Almost ready to head onto the Rift.
I was going to say, Young and Meech getting their first one as well, especially for Young. His first year at this level of play. He did play those 2 games for Golden Guardian LCS.
Oh, look at this.
Overall, what do you have here?
We got Shifter and Skara joining Toast on the Coast Stream. You go check that out on his channel, of course.
All right, on to the Rift. Game number 3, 2 wins for DSG. Let them hear your voices. Show them your support. And game number 3 now underway. Can EGC bring it back for a reverse sweep?
I think any hope of that, it's got to lie on Armeo getting ahead. Oh boy, we have level 1, Zeyzal.
EG able to find Zeyzal, but they don't even get his flash out. Zeyzal does escape quite cleanly.
Armeo, I think him on this Nocturne, he did go Conquer, so that I talked to Armeo about this. He goes Conquer when he's not as much expecting early invades and skirmishes, but thinks that scales a little bit better throughout the game. If you get the second rotation down, you are able to proc it. But I expect to see him test the Raptors respawn. I think that's going to be really key to watch how much Armeo can greed early on in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing into a champion like Rel, and I mean, she's received a couple nerfs in the jungle, but overall, is still someone that you can look to fight, especially when you have a mid laner like the Syndra, who's able to get a little bit of that push, set up these skirmishes with that Scatter of the Week.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I'm keeping an eye on Armeo in the early.
I will say the push for Syndra, it comes in later in this matchup. She does need some levels. Young will push early, so I like how Armeo is going top to bot. This isn't the most optimal clear on the Nocturne. You'd rather be rotating out your Raptors and Krugs earlier, but I think given that DSG will have 2 pushing solo lanes, this is smart from them.
And for the most part, Armeo is going to be looking for that level 6. That first paranoia, so impactful, can change the state of the game rather early. So if Armeo is able to get that going through, considering what lanes he's able to find it on, that could be big for EGC.
I gotta say, guys, we have a special sideline interview coming to you from Kangas. Kangas, what do you got?
How the game's going now. Toast, your team is on the precipice of victory right now. This would be history for you. How do you feel?
Feeling very good. Very excited. Still a little nervous because it's not completely over, but it's very good for DSG's legacy.
I see you're prepared in case it is.
Yeah.
But we're also prepared for the alternative. What do you think your chances are?
Chances probably 95%. You know,
95.
we're 2-0. We've been dominating.
It's a lot of confidence. Do we agree? Yeah. All right, all agreement. You heard it from us. Send it back to the casters.
I mean, this is boding well for the disguised legacy, as he likes to say.
You know,
Usually on the opposite way when they do take a loss.
I gotta say, as someone who, you know, I remember rushing home from high school to watch the very first day of LCS. Pretty fun to have both Scar and Shifter in the stands joining Toast from the co-stream. Of course, you can go check out their perspective from his channel. But guys, we gotta dive back into our perspective here, as we do have Armeo going to complete that full clear. And curiously enough, each jungler deciding to match their clear. So Tomio also wrapping up, going a top to bot clear. Zazel, they had mid push, so Meech actually took an early base, picked up a longsword, and Zazel going to roam to make sure this bot crab is secured by Tomio, and it will force Armeo to go towards the top crab.
You know, so far, nothing taken, nothing traded here. Again, we're looking for those Raptors respawn, as you pointed out, Cubby, for Armeo to go for in these early minutes. But for the most part, at the end of the day, another thing that I want to kind of point to is Meech on this Zeri. We've seen very little of this champion in playoffs. She's popping up at various levels of tier 1 pro play.
So this is kind of what Nocturne wants to do. Nocturne is very strong at taking Raptors and is very strong at fighting at this point of the game. So Young, you can see he's a little bit low. They're playing a game right now. Tomio, I like how he played this. He's just waiting for Young to base and TP back in. Ryoma has to get that wave in before he bases. So that means that Armeo actually can't go for that top Raptor camp. He has to cede it to Tomio, but Tomio actually going up to match just in case Armeo got involved in this top side as Surdy, Fake God. Heavy trading going on in this top lane matchup.
Yeah, and you can just see both these junglers, this whole series long, they've been reading, reacting, adapting to what each of them are trying to do here. So Tomio, instead of going for his Raptors, he's shown up top, looking like he might be aiming for those respawn prods. They should be up soon. Now we look bot side.
And it looks like Armeo is just going to help Surdy shove in that wave and get a really nice base, as Tomio, if he does wrap up his Krugs and Raptors, he will have enough money to get that early bombies, which can really help with these tank junglers clearing. So I think the fact that Tomio was able to at least control the map and protect his Raptor respawn, that's already really big in the matchup against Nocturne. So props to Tomio on that one, as actually not going for the bombies. Looks like he might be going for that Chains Rush, which we have been seeing more out of tank junglers. Props to Perry, the jungler for Fear. Manui's on the desk right now. He really started that one, and other junglers kind of started picking up here for challengers. So I really like that, of course. Increased CC duration on one target can be very powerful, especially when each team is running a 2-threat comp.
All right, and now Tomio coming back into his jungle to catch the respawn of the Raptor camp. Still waiting for where these junglers are going to find their first attack. And that's how it's been for the first two games. A lot of watching where you are, cat and mouse, trying to figure out what's going to go on. Armeo and Tomio have been butting heads in these early games. Not the bloodiest to that regard, but definitely to a very high level.
Young has 6 on this creep, or I should say cannon creep. Yeah, he could look to go, but Tomio honestly showing there when there was no 6 for Young. Just going to lead to nothing, as I think that's the minion. Okay. Never mind. Young's still behind.
I think part of it is...
Sometimes you have to go sideways, right?
No, you know what it is? I think you were right. Tomio was there, though, sharing in the XP, so kind of delayed that level 6. And I think Tomio ended up, or maybe Young called the play off, and he's just going to continue farming towards that bottom side. We're getting closer and closer to that first Rift Herald, so you want to get to level 6 as quickly as you possibly can for both of these junglers. And we've been talking about Smoothie and Zazel and how much they've been able to roam, Smoothie especially, and get around the map in this early game and help generate leads. And his Rift Herald is what I'm looking at in these first couple of minutes here to see them try and impact.
Yeah, okay, so with this early game playing out, not really too much to be said here, not really too much to be had, playing this out slowly and carefully, waiting for the first bounce of where these junglers are going to land up. And for Tomio, that is going to be the Dragon. Sorry if the Dragon getting the pull right there. Does have some control over in that bottom lane, but it's priority for Ryoma that can get freed up soon.
And I actually really want to praise the bot lane at DSG. That early base from Meech, so he has a small advantage. It's just the coal that he has in his inventory that is not in the opponent's. But this has enabled DSG to get perma push in the bot lane, especially going against an Alistar lane that has such a weak lane, but EG actually dropping that wave to try and contest. So very contested 3v3, and with no level 6s, it looks like DSG are going to respect this. They're scared of the strength of the Nocturne with the Alistar. They're just going to give this away. That's a big win for EG, going in and brute forcing DSG off that objective.
How long you get held down for really sets up King to use that Blade Caller and destroy these teams. So for DSG, wise move. Don't chance it. Don't face the Alistar. Don't face the Nocturne. Play it slow. Wait for another opportunity, and that's exactly what's going to be the case right now, as Tomio now stalking out over onto this topside jungle. Not too far off from Armeo, as we do have ships in the night.
Armeo is going to be looking for that level 6. Now, the difficulty here, yeah, level 6, really good for Nocturne. First few Paranoia is very important for most Nocturne games and comps, but playing Herald, you are playing into that Renekton, which of course has so much strength around that first Rift Herald. DSG, with that bot lane priority as well, would be able to rotate up Zeyzal if they so choose. So
They are.
You can see at the moment, Zeyzal, he did take a base. He is hovering up here. This is all spotted by EG, but I think the strength of Renekton and what DSG is showing as a composition will be too much for EG to even attempt to contest.
So it's just going to be an easy trade of objectives, essentially, as EG were able to get that first dragon earlier on. And now Tomio, I'm playing on something like the Rel, having something like the Rift Herald. There's an opportunity for you to set up some kind of dive, especially playing towards Meech, who is trying to scale, has that call in the inventory, trying to get to that 2-3 item mark. You set up a successful dive onto this Xayah, onto this Alistar. You get a lot of extra turret plate gold, and just like games 1 and 2, you get Meech ahead, and he wins you the game.
Still slow start for this one, though, as 500 gold is the lead for DSG. Not really going to be too much right here. We'll be looking for the next neutral objective to see how that contest is going to go. The Rift Herald was already taken earlier, so Tomio will be plotting where he wants to place that. And soon after that, we'll have 3 minutes until that Ocean Drake does come up, where Evil Geniuses have made multiple attempts to find Dragon stacking.
Well played from Fake God. He's gotten 2 plates on his own in this top lane, as this Renekton, if you are able to, play this isolated, get a little bit of help, you can pressure the Cassante. But this lead is a little bit bigger than what I would expect at this point of the game for the Renekton, having those 2 plates, and also that free Rift Herald for DSG. So this pick was so big for Fake God in Cloud9 Challengers spring run. Of course, Fake God was, I think, 13-0 at one point on the Renekton this year, was undefeated in spring, and he's putting it to great use here in this game 3 as DSG find themselves with a small early lead.
And it's another option for the Rift Herald as well. I mean, usually we think about mid laners, bot laners, and trying to snowball them with extra gold, but not just Fake God. Other top laners in this league, you get them that first brick with the Rift Herald, and that's a really great way to allow a champion like Renekton to spread his power across the map too.
I will say one area that I am not concerned, but I think EG is a little bit stronger now. Ryoma has dinged that level 9 and does have access to Luden's Echo, so you can see him opening up a small lead over Young. Syndra with the scatter does outrange Azir, and as long as there isn't a jungle threat or a support threat to roam on the Syndra, in isolation Ryoma will win out on that matchup. So that is 1 point of power that EG can use to start to build some strength off of, but at the moment, Armeo has really only been able to rotate out camps, and he is spotted right now, so even a look at a Paranoia play mid, not going to be able to happen for EG as Disguise. They scout it out, and Young can play accordingly.
And just to add to that too, Ryoma's gotten that evolved Q as well from the Syndra passive, so that wave clear just continues to improve for the Syndra. And even though Armeo hasn't been able to find this play, that Drake stacking still there for Evil Geniuses. We're a minute away from an Ocean Drake, and the fact that Ryoma's been able to keep this constant pressure onto Young means that you should be able to set that one up. But look at Tomio, he does end up dropping this Herald top. This would be a lot of gold if they take the turret.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's going to be cashed in for Fake God and Tomio over on this top side. I got to give credit to DSG because they're playing very smart right here. Like the Dragon Call earlier, they backed off and gave respect to EGC. They haven't been contesting these invades with both the Alistair and the Nocturne, and they finally find something over on the top side where Fake God has been doing well in lane. They'll accelerate that. Rift Herald will get that first pick for Fake God.
And I think this is something that, I'm just going to credit all of Disguise for this, but especially Zeyzal, as Zeyzal is credited by his teammates by being the most vocal within this lineup. And man, I've seen Zeyzal compete now for a few splits, an amateur when it was Solo Fide back in 21, that tragedy, but also seeing Zeyzal bounce back. This guy, whenever he's competed, he has been so good in these tier 2 leagues, and I think that a big part of that is how smart he is as a player. Just understanding, like, hey, we can drop this dragon, or hey, Renekton topside, obviously letting Tomio and Fake God do his work there. Even that first base for Meech to having that small item advantage where Zeri can consistently keep Xayah under pressure. Like this matchup, Zeri's not supposed to be here in this matchup. This should be a little bit Xayah favorite. I know some of that is the support matchup with Rakan into Alistar, but I also really want to credit that first base from Meech. That small item advantage, that was really all DSG needed to have that push and then try and take that first dragon where they wouldn't usually get it. Yeah, that play failed, but that's really the brains of Zeyzal and what he brings to a team coming in. As returning to the action, we have now TP coming in from Surdy, as Dragon going to be forced here by EG.
Yeah, right in the front. Four Evil Geniuses. I mean, the Paranoia hasn't been used yet. You're waiting for Smoothie to be that frontline engage. Now DSG kind of pulling back right now. They're setting themselves in a position where they send Zeyzal over onto the flank to try and throw out the ultimate.
This is spotted. There's a ward in that rush behind, so Armeo, he's kind of wary that Zeyzal could be back here, so you're going to see Surdy rotate back. Zeyzal's now spotted, so they can somewhat close the doors. Now they're going to go in.
Zeyzal! Triple lockup! They throw the Paranoia on him, and he throws it right on back. DSG, control of Dragon Pit.
Really nice move for, we're not done!
Tomio Magnetstorm goes for first blood found by Young! It's obliteration! DSG will take EGC to school!
And it was the second rotation of spells from DSG led by Tomio. It was Zeyzal at the initial engage, got a few ultimates out of EG, but Tomio, he stinks into the pit, he turns the fight, and it is a complete wipe for DSG, 5-for-1.
And I mean, watch Zeyzal here. He is caught out. Surdy's looking for the full combo. That quick snap decision making to ult, flash, grand entrance to get those safety spells out so Tomio could go back in.
But I love the patience too. They wait out the Paranoia. Then Tomio, he's got the flash. It just finds the combo. That's easy on the row. Everything was burned. So that second rotation, the fact that DSG didn't overcommit into Paranoia, waited for their moment, and then Tomio was able to find it on the re-engage. Man, that is the look of a team that's looking to 3-0.
Goodness gracious, that team fight, it was so fast. How quickly that AoE damage. Look at the reactions. That was my face right there. You didn't have the camera on me, but it was absolute devastation. But that's how snappy this team is with their engages.
Man, I even love seeing Fifth Laren there in the background. If you're a fan of CSGO, this guy goes way back with NIP too. As Disguise, he's brought in a lot of people around him to make this an organization. As Disguise, they are not just looking to be, a part of tier 2. They really want to climb the ranks of esports. That starts with putting good people around you. That guy's a lifelong competitor with NIP, and even seeing him get involved, Acadian as well stepping in to help out this roster after they were toppled at AOV. Really great to see as everything seems to be coming together just at the right time for Disguise. They're up so big now in this game. They're looking to go for the sweep.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Ryoma who talked about peaking at the right time. And I'll tell you what, DSG are peaking right now. I mean, it's been a tough early split for them, constantly splitting series against teams at the top and bottom of the standings. And they managed to turn it around in that second round robin. They managed to finish in third, win their way in the upper bracket to get here, where they're now one game away from the win.
But that is the veterancy that you have in both Fake God and Zeyzal, especially Zeyzal, as Cubby was mentioning earlier. He's not just a good player. He's a good teammate as well. He's always trying to bring Meech up. He's always trying to bring Young up. Watch every interview with Zeyzal, and he really is, for lack of a better word, a team dad.
I mean, I don't know, the team dad's got them watching some interesting shows, behind the scenes. So I don't know if we want to get into that, but...
Hey, look, some parents have interesting decisions in what they get their kids to watch.
Hey, whatever it is, it's working,
Yeah, exactly.
All right, fight breaking out over in the bottom lane, looking for the engage onto the Croc. Vagod's getting a lot of damage in, trying to take down Sturdy in the process, but will get shut down by EGC's top lane.
That is a good shutdown and something that I think EG does very well with Armeo on the Nocturne. It is the 1-3-1s that they can turn into 1-2-2s.
Yeah.
They're finding the Renekton flashes in the side lane. That's a shutdown now going over to the Cassante. Surdy's Cassante, it is very strong, and that is some hope now for EG as Surdy. He was the one where we heard in the trailer before we started the series, teammates being like, once Surdy came in, our team changed. He's the guy that has the gold, has the 2 kills to his belt, and he's the one that has to get this series to a game 4.
Right, and FakeGod had used the teleport earlier on. Something that I really like, especially from EG when they have the Nocturne, is making use of that teleport advantage. When that next Paranoia comes up, I'm expecting we're going to see another play like that very shortly. And these are these small ways that EG can look to come back into this one, because it 5v5, that ship has sailed. We're not talking about that one anymore, guys. It's going to be about what you can find in the side lane with that 1-2-2.
I will say, I think the 5v5 is still playable based around Syndra. It has to be front to back scatters from Syndra, where if you're able to interrupt Rel, Azir, Rakan, these are all things that a well-placed Syndra scatter can do. So I think EG do have a couple options in that, but they got to be really careful about the flank and the snap engages from DSG, because that's what we saw the Rakan and the Rel do so well in that first Dragon fight, and what EG has to be wary of now moving forward.
I mean, and Evil Geniuses in the past, they have been pretty spot on at figuring out a game plan and just sticking to it outright. They need to get one going right here. Whether it is trying to do the 5v5 with the Syndra, or as Beat was saying, playing more toward the side lanes, letting Armeo catch out stragglers with that Paranoia. Either or, we got to get something, or else this is it. This is game number 3, and DSG are taking it.
DSG, they have the Rift Herald to play with right now as well. So an opportunity for more gold to be coming into their pockets. We're getting close to this next raid, about 50 seconds on the clock. And I'm imagining as we get closer to around 30 seconds, they're going to look to try and make it happen. Young, though,
I do like what EG is doing right now. Young playing very respectfully there as EG. They were trying to look for a play onto Azir. If you can maybe, blow a flash, blow an ultimate before that dragon spawns, it could be really big in trying to get that objective for themselves. EG found the fast track through mid for that. But hey, with no play now, EG, they're staying out of the map, so they're going to be late to reset. It looks at the moment like the setup they have, they're going to drop this dragon and trade it for gold elsewhere.
I think that's the play. Realistically, you don't get anything out of Young in that situation. You're not going to win it out in the 5v5, especially when you are as late as they were. So instead, it's going to be the dragon most likely going into DSG's pocket, and still a Rift Herald to play with there for Tomio.
FakeGod has TP coming up shortly, then every summoner spell is available for our players before this dragon fight, as each one looking to secure the second dragon under their belts. But at the moment, again, EG, they look to be seeding this, and frankly, I can't really blame EG for that. If they are able to get gold on Syndra, I think that moving forward, that actually could be more valuable than trying to fight for this dragon, where DSG, especially with how strong this Renekton is at the moment, very good. But DSG, props to them. It was an answer to the top lane play now. They get to a bot lane power play off the Seesaw. They drop the Rift Herald to help push down here. So that is now has to be answered by EG. They can't get anything else on the map. Should be a free dragon going over to DSG.
You say that, but they look like they're in the area they want to contest. Ryoma is really late to this one, though.
Young was chunked out, and he has Nashers in base, so he's going to base right here and try and TP back. There's a ward below that he can look for, but Ryoma's close to it.
They might jump on it.
Okay.
He's doing it with the team instead. But Pulverize goes in, and that's the cue for DSG to go in with the engage. Able to find it with the Magnet Storm, landing it onto 3, not finding much damage right after, but Zazel, Meech, as well as Young join the fray. Smoothie able to find another one. But can the carry stay alive? EGC fight back. Out comes the scout of the week as Meech over the wall, looking for more. Will chip away onto Surdy. All out Cassante, and Cardi will find his way back in. Smoothie and King on the run, but here comes Zazel, here comes FakeGod. So little health left for King. Really playing with fire right there, but EGC trade 3 for 2.
And the strength of the Renekton, that's why I thought EG were going to give that dragon in the first place. FakeGod honestly saves the fight for Disguise, because the start for that was really good. Keep your eyes on Ryoma. He's the one that is really forced upon here by Zazel as he flashes in. Ryoma barely gets away. That's big, because watch Ryoma scatter. It's going to shut down Young on his way in. So Young, he blast cones over. He gets ripped by King immediately, so that's a root. And then when he tries to dash in, Ryoma lands a scatter, so that flash dash gets canceled. Young has a suboptimal ultimate, and it's late, but it's just enough, because FakeGod, gets into everyone. The fact that that Emperor's Divide shoved everyone into the Renekton, and Fake God ends up having a huge team fight off of what was a good start here for EG.
And I mean, I think it ends off pretty well for EG overall. It could have been so much worse for DSG.
Yeah.
And at least now the saving grace for Disguise is that they're going to be able to secure this second Drake. Anyway, they are going to be halfway towards that Mountain Soul. But we can even see, I mean, look at the damage dealt in this last fight. King was able to do so much there, quietly just putting out the most damage in that team fight. He's really scaling up as a Xayah.
It's those feathers, man. If you don't pay respect to them, if you don't watch where they are placed, King is so good at catching you out of position with them. And of course, being set up with a lot of this crowd control for Evil Geniuses, not going to hurt as well as Evil Geniuses start to dance around this topside jungle of Disguise.
Yeah, and frankly, I mean, that's kind of why I'm a little bit wary of DSG moving forward, because if their engages are not clean, the ability for Syndra and Xayah to peel back, reset these fights, we saw that there. There is strength in this EG comp, especially as this game moves forward. Syndra scales very hard throughout the game, so if EG can slow down fights and play off the scatter cooldowns, play off of Alistar, you know, second rotations, we're very likely to get those given his ultimate. I think that's where the real strength of EG is going to come in. So for Disguise, Tomio Zeyzal have to continue to be sound with the engages that they find, because they have to remove these targets before multiple rotations come in.
And another important thing too, like when you're playing into Nocturne, using your CC to peel some of your carries is really important here. Having the Zeri gives you that unique way to somewhat play safe and try to avoid the Nocturne and the Cassante and things like that. But you still, when you're going in for these engages, everyone needs to be with you. In that last fight, Tomio Zeyzal, they got the angle, but who was there?
I think the roughest thing about this position so far is just all the golds on Surdy, which is good on one end, but bad on the end that you wanted on the carries. And for Meech, he's got 3-2-4 so far.
At least for Surdy, he was able to take down Meech in both of those fights. So making decent use of the gold on the Cassante. When he goes all out, he's going all in on the marksman. That has worked out well for EG so far. But I think for EG right now, weathering the storm, if they can get a death cap onto Ryoma, he's a little bit accelerated. I think that they're going to kind of play this game a little bit patiently until they hit that item break point. They should have 3 items on Xayah around that time too. That's where EG is going to look to push again.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ryoma as well. He's had this setup right here for a little while now. Young just built the Nasher, so Ryoma's probably sitting on a good bit of gold too. He's going to get that death cap sooner than we might think. And once he gets to that 100 stacks from the Syndra passive, that extra, that percentage boost to your AP is going to synergize so well with the death cap.
Yeah, also, I got to say, I think that last fight, that's the strongest we're going to see Renekton all game. He was at 2 items. Yeah, he has a stopwatch for this next one, but Renekton going to be less and less useful, especially against the Syndra Xayah moving forward. So it's not like that kind of fight, if that happens again, I don't think that favors Disguise. So again, I think this game a little bit closer than what we're seeing on the scoreboard at the moment, as EG show that they can actually play out this comp correctly in that last fight, and showing a little bit of life here in this game 3.
Evil Genius is really starting to punch higher and higher in weight class, as Ryoma really does set up these 5v5s for them. But for Evil Geniuses, now setting up around this Baron area. It's 24 minutes in currently. It's a 2K lead, which is not doom and gloom for Evil Geniuses just yet. It is 2 minutes before Dragon does come up, and DSG have been playing to stack those up. Already have 2 into their hands. They're Surdy pushing in that bottom lane all the meanwhile.
Right now, as DSG, you still hold on to a pretty comfy, like 1,500 gold lead. I want to bounce off that Renekton point as well. I think at this point, DSG, kind of like we were highlighting in Champ Select, you got to look for these multiple angles, especially with how strong Ryoma is starting to scale up. Where it's kind of like back in the day where Renekton was really bad in the late game, and it's like, all right, it's the flanking Renekton time, because that is literally the only way he's going to be useful. And that's the problem Fake God is running into now. He's at this roadblock where hopefully DSG can get him some kind of flanking board, get some deep vision so he can TP, or he at least gets some kind of track to the back line. Remember, Syndra can only push people away from one direction. As soon as that scatters down, she is very immobile. There is the opportunity to jump on her.
Nice sidestep there from King, as he doesn't have to burn his ultimate or any summoner, as we are 1 minute away from the Dragon. All eyes here on DSG. I like Zeyzal trying to find these pockets and deny that blast cone even, the vision plant, as I agree with you, Pete. I think it's all about what kind of angle can Tomio and Zeyzal find, and you know, can Ryoma and the rest of his squad play defense here? As it's not just him that can play defense. You have All Out from Surdy, Smoothie, Alistar combos too. It feels like this EG backline's pretty well protected with the composition they've built. So honestly, a little bit of a tough puzzle here for DSG to try and find the sweep, as Tomio and Zeyzal, all eyes on them. As long as they're on vision, I think EG feels pretty safe.
And they've been taking a lot of creative routes, especially in the previous games, to get engages going for their squads, whether it be Tomio, whether it be Zeyzal. They are this dynamic duo of engage for Evil Geniuses Challengers, plays even more with both the Rel and the Rakan.
I mean, both players in playoffs, their KP 1 and 2 in over 80%. I think that says a lot of how DSG play. It's about them grouping up for team fights and really creating chaos so that Meech can excel.
I really like what the setup that's going on here for Evil Geniuses. They're trying to set up vision dominance, especially over this top side. And you can see DSG are really afraid of this Baron getting started because they could go for that Mountain Soul point, but right now they're committing all 5 members to walk in here and slowly try to establish some kind of presence so that it doesn't get traded for that Drake that they want to go get.
If anything, you could have Meech try and go solo this. He is at 3 items, and you can at least vault over as Zeri to try and get to the Baron fast. It's a tad risky because you don't have the TP, but you also burn it a lot faster than a Renekton or an Azir, as at the moment. Actually, it looks like they're going to use Azir. This is the control word was dropped.
Teleport, they know.
Spotted. Young does have the TP, and yeah, EG, they're going to TP up top. Ryoma, they're going to start hitting this.
I mean,
and they're calling Meech and Young over there.
This is gone. EG, they got to hit this or else their timer's gone. So there was a little bit of a stall there from EG. This will go over to Young.
Yeah, okay, so Dragon secured, but they are collapsing onto one. Zeyzal's going to go down, and this is going to give Evil Geniuses a man advantage. They still should secure this Baron. Tomio's over the wall, will not go for the still. Fake God able to get a stun onto Surdy. Paranoia comes out, still trying to bail. Is going to be Fake God, but Paranoia goes onto him. A flash coming out from Fake God as he tries to find King, but King is strong. King is swinging away, and with a knockout to the air, they'll slam him right back to the ground. King takes down Fake God, but here comes Young. Jumps in with the Embers to fight, but Surdy will deny him anything else as Evil Geniuses go tooth and nail and one-up DSG.
And I really love the call from EG. I mean, they take the Baron too slowly. Young and Meech were going to be able to get there in time, so instead they immediately jump onto that one target. Fake God trying to make space, trying to get information at the end of the fight, and they end up picking him off for it. And look at this fight. Look at Young and Meech. For the most part, no damage is being done until we saw that huge play from Young come through, and that's really the difference maker there, because the carries of DSG, who we keep praising and highlighting, weren't able to get any damage out.
Yeah, I also really want to credit the terrain of which EG played the start of that fight. The fact that Zeyzal was one-shot, you have to go through that choke as Rakan, so it guarantees that you find that front to back as Syndra that you're looking for. The scatter goes one way. So I think that the setup from EG, it was a little bit slow for me to snap onto the Baron, but they end up executing it correctly, which is what matters. And now EG really feels like the first lead they've had in this series.
I think it is.
Look at all that damage coming out of Ryoma at the same time. I mean,
not bad.
Before we even had that fight coming through, there was one scatter of the week that took a third of Zeyzal's health, so it's only getting worse, man, and that death cap is completed, a stopwatch on top of it. Ryoma's sitting pretty.
Good to see Ryoma, as I mean, it's kind of fun with him and Armeo being on the same team. These two guys, they played a best of 15 in all the finals in summer of 21, as Armeo was on TLA and Ryoma was actually being coached by Golden Glue with 100 Thieves Academy. I mean, Ryoma, it's about time he gets back as old coach here now. You can't let him, 3-0. You got to get some revenge here.
Flank.
Absolutely.
Oh, hold on.
A flanking Renekton. This is what we needed.
Yeah, here we go. Looking to come in is going to be Fake God, but you got to bail out. Zeyzal falls. Paranoia's going to time out, but DSG have already lost the fight. They put up the Azir passive and head for safety, but Armeo puts the tethers onto Tomio. Evil Geniuses might be going for a bit more.
I think they can, and the thing is too, Zeyzal's out of the picture. I mean, Syndra is level 17. Ryoma has the Evolved Ultimate, so it has the Execute. I mean, Radiant Virtue, Merc Treads, it doesn't matter. You're going to die in one shot as Zeyzal. So this is actually a really dangerous part of the game for DSG because they are lacking in the stats to actually get that full 5v5 they want. I mean, Ryoma can just kill him every fight.
Yeah, it's interesting how out of all the adaptations made, it really feels like it was EG getting Armeo and Ryoma, this Nocturne Syndra, that's making the difference here. As that Syndra was denied last game when Azir was blinded by DSG, and we can see why, because Ryoma's having a massive game on this.
Right, not his first one as well. He's very strong on this pick overall and in this matchup. So really nice from Ryoma to step it up, as you kind of credited earlier into the series. And EG's run, it isn't just the fact that Armeo is a damn good jungler, it's the fact that every member, top to bottom, has stepped up to get them to this point, to knock down the other two LCS affiliate teams who at the start of the split we thought would be doing way better than EG did.
I mean, not just starting the split, going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
They're
that's
1 and
true.
2 seed.
Oh, Young almost going down right there to the power of Ryoma. But yeah, this team absolutely devastating as now the siege being set up by Evil Genius's challengers. They have Armeo over in the jungle who is taking a recall at the moment, going to find it at the same time as Smoothie is. And with grabbing that tower, the carries of EGC will now take the recall.
You know, maybe EG, they just like want 0-2 to feel like they're in the lower bracket again. You know?
Yeah, it's the comfort zone.
It is.
Maybe. There was a fan too, actually,
about this.
who said EGC reverse sweep. Maybe they willed it into existence. Who knows?
Yeah, we talked about this, right? It's the what's it called in Dragon Ball?
The Zenkai boost.
Yeah, the Zenkai boost, where you
you get
defeated, and for some
injured.
reason you're just stronger after.
Yeah, because you know plot.
Sorry, Cubby. Golf.
One day, one handicap. I don't know.
Get me out. That's Jad, not me. It's fine. He kicks my butt all the time now. But at the moment,
Nice flex.
we'll see if DSG. Oh, hold on, Tomio. That's
Beautiful
canceled.
timing right on the scatter of the week. Now Surdy facing off of Tomio. A couple cheap shots in, but it stops the engage of DSG nonetheless. Now Surdy pulling Tomio back in. Tomio's taking way too much damage, and Ryoma will definitely scatter the wick as DSG fall like lambs to the slaughter. Paranoia comes out. Young goes for one last heroic play, but the heroics will get you nowhere against Evil Genius's challengers.
Meech.
Great Zanya's from Ryoma as Meech sidestep.
That's a shutdown right there. Going for a little bit more is going to be Ryoma, but Meech will cash in off of that.
It still should be the Dragon going over to EG, and I again want to credit Ryoma. He cancels this combo from Tomio, so Tomio, he's going for the Q flash into the W, gets pushed back. That W still goes through, and Tomio just ends up getting stuck. So again, if you are able to front to back on the Syndra, you can see how powerful it is to hold the line for EG. If DSG don't have angles, they don't have pushing shots at this point in the map. It's a really tough game for DSG, and it feels like we're going into game 4.
And one thing I want to credit to that whole fight for the most part, he held on to that unleashed power. I mean, that execute damage is so impactful, so it's good to know that he's not going to use it when he doesn't need to. But I mean, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, we have sung the praises of Meech, that he very rarely loses out on reaction tests and skill checks. That's Exhibit 1 right there. As
I think it's Exhibit like 25 at this point.
I mean, for this series.
Okay, you're right.
5, 2, and 4 is Meech as Baron does spawn and DSG hop right onto it. It might be a desperation play right now. Evil Geniuses trying to corral them right into the Baron pit, but Fake God loses so much health in the process, and Evil Geniuses don't even break a sweat in the process. Tomio over the wall needs to find his way back to safety as the top laner has fallen. Here comes Young, one more champ at an Emperor's Defied, but he is deleted. A quadra kill found by King, and he's gonna clean it up with a grand finals pentakill.
Oh my gosh, EG, welcome to the series, man. As they were down 3k gold early on that first dragon fight, they got wiped. It was a 1 for 5, but EG, they hold strong. Armeo keeps on farming, keeps on scamming, and now EG, their comp cannot be broken, and their will survive for one more game.
And Ryoma on the Syndra that was denied from him before and had such a mammoth of a game, giving EG their second win in this series.
5, 3, and 10. This Syndra could not be stopped. And Evil Geniuses on death's door, able to revive a gasp of life.
And wow, what a comeback, at least for the start of it. Of course, they are still backs against the wall as this Evil Geniuses roster. But again, DSG, you said it, Cubby. No one should be more wary of a reverse sweep than they are, but EG, they finished step 1.
I mean, good for EG, man. You can't show up in jerseys and get 3-0 by t-shirts. That's they had to get into this series somehow, and hey, they were able to find that. Props to them. I mean,
oh man, you see the relief on their face.
Yeah, I mean, that was a test. They were down 3k gold.
Yeah.
Like after that second dragon fight, it was looking somewhat grim for them.
A little bit.
And honestly, that is some of the experience coming in from their members. Ryoma has been on the stage before. We've seen Smoothie. All these guys, have been in championships, have played in big games, and I think really leaning in that, having faith in what their comp does. First time I felt like they were able to out-execute DSG, came at the right time, and see if EG can do it again.
And how many times do we see this play right here coming out from Young? This is how far ahead that EG's front line was able to get. Because even though these plays look so fancy, they do nothing beat.
And I gotta say too, this is not on Fake God. We talk about Renekton falling off in the late game. Fake God was doing his damnedest, making all sorts of space in these team fights, but the damage just wasn't there. I mean, this is a 4-item Zeri who felt like she was shooting a pea shooter.
I feel like the Cinder was just way too valuable that game. Like playing into Rakan, Rel, your ability to just cancel those engages right off the bat.
The one shot.
It ended up saving EG from getting snowballed on in multiple instances in that mid game. Then you get the scaling later on. That was a really big pick for EG, and now DSG. I think they're going to make some plans around the Syndra moving forward again, return to what happened in game 2.
Maybe ban it again, you know?
Yeah, that's not getting through. Ryoma, as I said, he didn't need much. He only had like 1 kill, and he was taking a third of Zeyzal's health before fights even started.
Cool.
That is disgusting, man. That is absolutely gross.
Yeah, and at this point now, EG, they've managed to get one up on the series. I mean, I'm really proud of both of you. Nobody said the cliche, we have a series on our hands. So, you know, maybe we can say that for game 5.
I said welcome to the series, EG.
No, that's not the same
That's
thing.
a better one.
You're doing good, Cubby. Just take the compliment.
All right, well, it's the last day. We'll take something.
Oh, true, yeah. Maybe we just pull out all the stops. You know? Banger, series on our hands. Come on, that's Rex. You're the play-by-play. You know the cliches.
You took them all from me already at this point.
All right, we'll think of some more.
I mean, it was a good performance, nonetheless, coming out from Evil Geniuses Challengers, giving us back to how they performed in the lower bracket, their ability to adapt, their ability to overcome some of these tougher teams. And again, they have taken out every seed above them other than DSG, and now starting the comeback potential. But 2 more games, and they only have 1 life left.
Yeah, and the big thing I want to add, too, is that I mean, now, if we see that Syndra taken away, I mean, Ryoma getting a lot of bans thrown his way during that second rotation. I mean, the Jax is something that we could see come through again for Surdy later on into the series. So I think now that EG have not only earned themselves this win, and not only do DSG have to go back to the drawing board, there are other picks now that they need to be wary of as well. You open up the Jax back again. I mean, it's Surdy's best champion by far, and it gives more opportunities for EGC to play different comps.
Well, signs of life coming out from Evil Geniuses Challengers as they try and pull back a win from DSG. Can they pull off the reverse sweep? We're going to toss it over to our analyst to break down that game. But wait, there's some more backstage footage I'm hearing. Let's throw to that.
Keep finding this.
Look, man, I'm sorry about all that share stuff earlier. You know, it's gotta suck to have to watch Armeo up there going for that third chain. You know, you're a loser. You didn't make it up on the stage this time around. You know, it's not a great feeling.
What you call him? That's 2 chains.
Here's your chair.
Deserved. Don't talk to him like that. Come on, Bradley. Let's get out of here.
Don't talk to our boy like that, man. Our boy Bradley here, throwing Kangas through a table. Welcome back, guys. Glad to have you on our analyst desk, and welcome back to the Subway halftime refresh. That being said, we finally have a series on our hands. We had Evil Geniuses waking up, and for me, it was crazy to see actually Armeo go confident with the Nocturne pick here. And I do want to go ahead and check in because there was one moment that felt like it stood out the most, and it was the turnaround. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Turo key drive from that game. The Baron fight that turned around the entirety of it. And it all started off a beautiful re-engage by Evil Geniuses and really forcing the hand of Disguised Magical.
I mean, it starts off with a nice pick on Zeyzal, right? And there goes a big part of their engage. You kind of need to have that Rakan and Rel to work together, where Tomio was looking for that angle, but with Zeyzal gone, they don't really have many options left. So EG are like, hey, not only can we get ourselves that Baron, but then afterwards, they don't have ways to peel back efficiently. Meech has to do a lot of the legwork himself in order to try to get back far away, which then puts the onus onto players like Young to try to look for that. But because they had to play so far back, you saw how little damage Young and Meech, the 2 carries, did in that fight because they just didn't have that front line anymore.
Yeah, and something I know we talked about, guys, a lot in the off time was the decisiveness being so key in this series. And I think, Mir, the decisiveness was definitely there for Disguise, but I love the turnaround and the style of composition that Evil Geniuses brought. It played to their strengths, it felt like.
Yeah, it's just definitely, I think, a lot slower than DSG's like decision making. But like at a certain point, I think this game, for example, this game, I think they made like pick pretty well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the picks actually came rampant for them. And Bradley, we want to go ahead and potentially talk a little bit more about the style that we saw and some of the engages that we saw, because I want to go ahead and bring back some of the clips and really talk through some of this, because there were moments like initially this is the play where like, no, this is the key drive, but it was EGC that turned it back around. But this kind of moment showed the decisiveness and strength of Disguise, Bradley.
This clip in particular is like really key because Zeyzal, understanding his job, draws out so many key abilities that gives confidence for Tomio and Young to swoop back in once they're gone, right? Like the Alistar ult and like everything else that was used, it was really nice. I thought the really defining thing about DSG's comp is they have to get meaningful things with their engage, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't and Syndra's able to stand her ground, it's just Jover. Like, what can you do? If you can't pressure Syndra, it's Jover. And you saw at the later stages of the game, you know, when Rakan dies, like, how else are you going to pressure this Syndra, you know? Carries like Zeri, like Azir, how, you know, they can't really walk up, so.
Yeah, it becomes very, very difficult. And we also had a dragon fight with Evil Geniuses that had a nice little breakdown for them. And Mira, I want to go ahead and get this set up for you.
Okay, this one is really weird because like, looks like DSG had the best setup ever, but like, their AD carry and Young and Mitch is like 2 or 4 to go because there's Nocturne ulti. So like, if they're like, if they play more confident, play with more confidence, I think it would be really good for DSG. But like, instead of they didn't really go for it, and at the same time their engages go for it, so like it's doomed, right? But at the same time, Renekton done his Renekton moment always. So like
Renekton moment.
The 5 and fine, but like, you know, the Renekton gets every kill. It's not what DSG comps want.
Exactly, because eventually, you know, you're just not going to be able to do much. You're flanking, you're a stun bot as the Renekton. You really do need to have Meech and Young play far more aggressively in those moments, because if they do step up there, I think the problem was they were so afraid of Ryoma just insta-giving one of them, but you're 2 carries. One of you dies, there's still the other one. You just both got to step up at the same time.
Now, I will just say, Disguise is going to be on blue side again. Bradley, do you have any thoughts on the changes Disguise can bring to the table now?
It's a bit weird. I really like what EG did game 3 because they went into it specifically. They B1 Xayah, right? And then when you go for 5, you target the Ezreal and the Aphelios bans. And now you're like asking Meech, you know, what can you play, right? And we saw the Zeri. And while it didn't look necessarily terrible, I don't think it's the answer that Meech would have wanted, right? It doesn't feel like something that Meech can really step up with the resources given, right? Because Syndra's just like too OP into Zeri, right? So they need to try and find, now that they're going into blue side, something that makes Meech like way more effective when he's given these resources.
Do you have any thoughts, Mir, on blue side switch up for Disguise?
I think just pick Zyrakan, man.
Just pick Zyrakan.
Zyrakan, give Zyrakan again.
All right, that's the ticket here. Now, thank you guys for joining us. Now, we have DSG on match point, but with Evil Geniuses getting a strong win. Can they turn this around and get a little bit of a reverse sweep? We'll see you after a short little break.
Paranoia comes out, still trying to bail. It's going to be Fake God, but Paranoia goes on to him. A flash coming out from Fake God as he tries to find King, but King is strong. King is swinging away, and with a knockup to the air, they'll slam him right back to the ground. King takes down Fake God, but here comes Young. Jumps in with the Embers to fight, but Surdy will deny him anything else as Evil Geniuses go tooth and nail and 1-up DSG. Stops the engage of DSG nonetheless. Now Surdy pulling Tomio back in. Tomio's taking way too much damage, and Ryoma will definitely scatter the wick as DSG fall like lambs to the slaughter. Paranoia comes out. Young goes for one last heroic play, but the heroics will get you nowhere against Evil Geniuses Challengers.
Subway refreshed their ingredients, their menu, and now they're slicing their meats fresh. That's why their new Subway Series subs are preferred by this champ.
And this future champ. Pros who are talking heads prefer fresh sliced turkey.
And pros who use their heads prefer fresh sliced ham.
More deli meats are preferred by this QB.
And preferred by his old backup QB.
And if we prefer it, we know you'll prefer it too. Is this slice as good as your tennis slice?
I can't answer that, but yes.